Well, welcome back to HorrorVision. This is episode 10. And today I'm going to be looking at something very interesting. Oh boy. And I'm hoping not to get a copyright strike on this because this is the same company that copyright struck me before. Because if you can hear me, if you know who you are, I am going to be praising this film because this is a film that I have to praise. Literally. So, this is the 1931 classic, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde was released on December 31st, 1931. I'm convinced they're all Christmas movies to me. Follows Dr. Jekyll, played by Frederick March, who develops a formula that separates the two personalities, turning him into a violent, ruffian man by the name of Mr. Hyde. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is nothing more than, well, personality disorder. And it was actually not from Universal, but from Paramount. Yup, Paramount. As far as I know, between this film, the only thing saving grace on this film, even though it had some really good point of view shots, the one thing that makes this film is Mr. Hyde. He is such a dick in this film that I'm surprised nobody in the film had called the cops on this guy. It's so insane, but it's kind of interesting as well. So if you want to talk about ratings, I got it right here on my phone. So IMDb gives this a 7.6 out of 10, and Rotten Tomatoes gives this a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. So that's a pretty good thing here. Paramount gets a thumbs up on that one because looking at this film, I actually feel like it's a very enjoyable film. It was released in the USA, like I said again, December 31st, 1931. Adapted from the book by the name of The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And actually won an Academy Award for Best Actor, which I think is Frederick March. He plays the role of Dr. Jekyll so well, but when he played Mr. Hyde, it was really interesting. And I really do enjoy his acting in this one. It's pitch perfect. It's pitch perfect. Now, again, Paramount. I do not want a copyright strike. I am praising this film for you. I'm literally praising this film because this film is really good. Is really good. And not only that, I love SpongeBob as well. Yeah, Paramount was with SpongeBob movies, so if you didn't know that. But literally, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde was a fantastic film. I love the point of view shots, like the first person view shots of the cameras. This was before GoPros, so this looked pretty interesting. I do enjoy it so much. I enjoy everything about this film, between the point of view shots, but also the way that they made the makeup for Mr. Hyde. The rape scenes alone in this film can be enough to give it an X rating. However, there were no rating systems back in those days. But I do find it very interesting of both the transformation scene and also how this guy can talk with those huge teeth in his mouth. So the makeup was already on this guy's face, but applying different types of filters, it will appear slowly onto it like a transformation scene. From something back in 1931, this had to be groundbreaking. And even with black and white, you could filter this thing. You can lower the brightness, you can upper the contrast. It's pretty much like that, but with movies in color, you couldn't do that. But nowadays, you could. And that is what makes this movie very interesting. I mean, it's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It's based off the book. So yeah, it's very impressive how, how they, do these types of shots and also filters to create a very nice horror movie. This movie is actually really nice, and even the makeup, I mean, it's brutal, but not as brutal as another film that I don't want to talk about ever on this, unless it's going to be a top 10 of movies that I'm not going to review, but on HorrorVision. But this movie was pretty both brutal not too brutal because, this is a tame film. This is 1931. But it was also crazy too because with the rating system didn't even exist in the 30s, you could literally do at least whatever you want in this type of film. So this was pretty much an innovation, and I'm impressed with what they have created with this film. I would guarantee you that it's probably one of the best looking films I've ever seen in my life. I pretty much say, go ahead and watch it if you want to. It's worth your time. I'm impressed with it. I mean, round of applause on this one. Now, tomorrow, we're going straight for B movies. And what better way to do the B movies than one of the last, in most people's eyes, one of the last Universal monsters of all time. And trust me, that guy, he's in a lagoon. Should I say, a black lagoon?